key to creating a relaxed atmosphere. Make sure the patient has not eaten or drunk anything for 20 to 30 minutes prior to the test. Make sure the patient is sitting comfortably, with a straight back, and the arm resting on the desk at the same height as the heart. The patient might find the cuff becomes quite tight, more so if a higher pressure is expected, and people can become anxious when having their blood pressure measured. As mentioned before, the patient should remain sitting comfortably, still, and without speaking for up to 5 minutes before any measurements are taken. During this time, avoid making any potentially stressful comments to the patient. The cuff is applied to the mid-upper arm next to the skin. The Kinetik blood pressure monitor cuff shows where it should be applied to the arm, above where it bends at the elbow, under which the brachial artery runs. Being able to fit 2 fingers under the cuff indicates that it is closely applied but not too tight. The patient should be asked not to talk until all the readings have been taken. Often the best results are made from taking 2 or 3 readings and using the average of the last 2 to guide your action. Each reading is taken no less than 1 minute apart. The aim is to obtain at least 2 stable, reproducible readings. If you are taking your own blood pressure at home without the aid of another person, the Kinetik blood pressure monitor offers practicality, accuracy, and is the first ever blood pressure monitor to be tested and approved by the British Hypertension Society. As with a visit to the doctor to have your blood pressure tested, you should refrain from eating, drinking, smoking or exercise for 30 minutes in order to obtain accurate results. You should first make yourself comfortable, sitting upright. Your arm should be supported by a table or desk so that you can apply the correct sized cuff comfortably. Before undertaking any tests, ensure that you have the correct cuff for the size of your arm. The Kinetik blood pressure monitor comes complete with a standard-sized cuff suitable for most arm sizes. If you need a cuff that is larger or smaller than standard, please consult your local doctor's surgery or pharmacy. Please note that the Kinetik blood pressure monitor is suitable for adults and children, but not recommended for infants. Unless you know of any medical conditions that will prevent you having your blood pressure measured in both arms, the British Hypertension Society recommends that for your first test, you should test both your arms. This will determine which arm should be used for future measurements. Take note of your systolic reading on both arms. This is the high number shown on the left of the monitor LED screen. The arm that gives the higher systolic reading should be used in the future for testing. Leave a gap of at least 60 minutes between testing each arm. Remember, the cuff must be wrapped around your arm 1 or 2 centimeters above the elbow joint, with the rubber tube running down the center of the arm. Use your free hand to adjust the tightness of the cuff until it is firm. To ensure the correct tightness, you should be able to fit 2 fingers under the cuff. Ideally, the test should be done whilst sitting upright with your back straight and your arm at the same level as your heart. For the best results, you should wear loose-fitting or short-sleeved clothing, as the cuff must be applied next to your skin. Rest in the seated position for 5 minutes after you have fitted the cuff. When you are ready and comfortable, press the on-off button, followed by the start button. The Kinetik blood pressure monitor will automatically inflate and measure the blood pressure reading. Take 2 or 3 measurements on each occasion, staying as still as possible between each reading. For home measurements, the recommendation is that sets of 2 or 3 measurements should be taken twice a day, in the morning before taking blood pressure treatment, and again in the evening approximately 12 hours later. Repeating this process over several days is ideal. Try to run the test consistently in the same room at the same times of day, ensuring you are fully rested at the time of each test. Blood pressure is classified based on the systolic and diastolic blood pressures measured in millimeters of mercury. Systolic blood pressure is the blood pressure in vessels during a heartbeat, and is the higher number. Diastolic blood pressure is the pressure between heartbeats and is the lower number. These two numbers are given together, that is 120/80, to indicate a blood pressure value. Hypotension is abnormally low blood pressure. However, in practice, blood pressure is considered too low only if noticeable symptoms such as lightheadedness, dizziness, or fainting are present. If there are more than a 10 millimeters of mercury difference between consecutive recordings, further readings are required. Do not be concerned, but try to continue after resting for a bit longer and aim to obtain at least 2 stable readings. Keeping a record of blood pressure measurements, along with the date and time, is very important, particularly in relation to when blood pressure tablets are taken. It is very important that you do not alter how you take any medication as a result of blood pressure readings done at home, unless you're advised to do so by a doctor or nurse. Remember these key points for successful and accurate home blood pressure measurement. Be relaxed. Sit for 5 minutes before testing. Wear loose clothing and apply the cuff next to the skin. Keep still and don't talk. Use the same arm and be consistent with test times. Keep a written record. Don't change your treatment without a discussion with a doctor or nurse. For further information, please visit our website www.kinetikmedical.com.